Geometry Unit 2, Review Number 2. I'm going to do numbers 7 up through 11 on this one. Number 7 starts with triangle FGH. It says when triangle FGH is rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin, the coordinates of H prime are. So we've all been using this tracing paper a lot. That's one great way to do this. I'm going to start by just, they're only asking about H prime. They're only asking about where H is going to land. So I'm just going to trace H. That's the only one I need. And remember, when they're going around the origin, that's 0.00, so I'm going to trace a little plus sign around that 0, And when I rotate, this is 90 degrees counterclockwise. Counterclockwise goes this direction. And remember that we trace a plus sign. The whole point of doing that is seeing when it lines up with the grid. Every time it lines up nicely, that's 90 degrees. Now we only had to go 90 degrees, so there's my new point, which is left 2 and down 1. That's -2, -1, which is answer choice D. But again, we started with just tracing H. You could draw the whole triangle if you wanted, but all you need is H, because that's what the question was asking about. Point here, that's a 90-degree turn right there. If they had to go 180, that's another 90. And if you had to go 270, there's 270, and then 360 would be back where you started. Number 8 is another rotation on a grid. It says when triangle ABC is rotated 180 degrees about the point 1, 1, the vertex B prime would be. Now we have to concentrate, instead of the origin, on the last one we traced the little plus sign on the origin 0, 0. Now we have to put it in a different place. So I'm going to go with, again, they're asking about B prime, so I'm only going to draw point B. So I'm going to give myself some room on this tracing paper. I'm going to go about right here. So there's point B, that's where point B is starting. And again, we're rotating around the point 1, 1, which is right here. So this would be our plus sign. It happens to line up on A, but that would be our plus sign. So notice that I'm not putting it at 0, 0. I'm putting it at that new point 1, 1. Now from here, 180 degrees, remember with 180, it doesn't matter what direction we go. Oops. As I turn, there's 90. One more quarter turn gives me 180 right there. And I'm trying to get it exact. There we go. So there's, after 180 degrees, that's 2 of those turns. And again, you could have gone in this direction and still gotten the same thing. But that point is now at -1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4 down. So it looks like we're at -3 and -4. That's what the problem is asking for, is the coordinates of B prime. And I'll go ahead and graph them. -3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 9 gives us this diagram. Given line L, find the value of x. And so if you remember, if you looked at the videos or watched the videos for numbers 1 and 5, 1 and 5 asked for the measure of an angle, where we had to plug in our answer for x. But now it says find the value of x. So once we get that answer for x, we're done. We don't have to do anything with it. And there's a couple ways we could do this. First, we notice that there are 3 angles. There's a right angle and these 2 that make this straight line. So we could add all 3 of them up and make it equal to 180. But here we only really need these 2. Now since this is 90, this other side has to be 90 because it has to make the straight line. 90 plus 90 is 180. So I can start with x minus 10 plus 3x minus 4 equals 90 degrees. So I'm just using these 2 smaller acute angles, making the total of 90. When I combine like terms, I get 4x minus 14. X plus 3x is 4x. -10 plus -4 is -14 equals 90. Then I'm going to add 14 to both sides to get 104. Then I'm going to divide by 4. I get 26. So my answer for number 9 is x equals 26. Number 10, on the grid below, graph the location of triangle A prime, B prime, C prime based on the translation xy changing into x plus 6, y plus 1. So they tell you right off the bat it's a translation, so it's a slide. So that means that this triangle has to look the same, exactly the same. It's just going to be in a different spot. So the B, C, and A are all going to be in the same places. B will be up top, C will be in the corner, A will be down on the bottom. Now this x plus 6, remember x is the x-axis going left and right. Positive 6 on the x-axis means we're going to the right. So this is going to be right 6, and this y plus 1 is moving along the y-axis vertically, either up or down. Plus 1, positive 1 means we're going to go up 1. So for this triangle to do this translation, all 3 points have to go right 6 and up 1. So if I start with point A, from point A, not from the origin, but from point A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right, 1 up, there's a prime. Then point C, right 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up 1, there's C prime. And then B, again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up 1, there's B prime. Connect those 3, and there's my translation, right 6 and up 1. Number 11, the last one in this video, is a choose all that apply. It says which transformations will carry the square onto itself. Excuse me. First is reflection across the x-axis. Now, again, if you use the tracing paper, you can absolutely do that. Now, reflection across the x-axis means I'm going to make the x-axis my dashed line. That's what I'm going to reflect over. I'm going to do this a little bit so I know where to place it. Now I'm going to reflect over the x. I'm going to line up the axis again. And that does work. See how it matches exactly the way it was before. So A is one of my correct answers. It says reflection across the line x equals 2. First of all, this line is not there yet. So if I go to x equals 2, there's positive 2 on the x-axis. When it's x by itself, that's going to be a vertical line up and down. If it's y equals some number, then that's going to be a horizontal line. So for this one, it's going to be vertical up and down through there. So now I'm going to reflect over this new dashed line. And if I do that, I've got part of the square lining up, but not the whole thing. See, there's this extra piece coming out here. That's not going to work perfectly. So B is not one of our answers. 90 degrees, rotation 90 degrees clockwise about the origin. So now I'll go back again. Clockwise about this point. I already kind of did that plus sign in the middle. There's almost one turn. There's 90 degrees, and that does work. And then rotation 180 about the origin. So if I go back to the original, 180 would be 2 of these turns. That'd be 90 right there. Another 90 is 180. That does work. So A, C, and D all worked for number 11.